am hitting record. All right, we're recording. 3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello.
Hello, and welcome to the Gonzo Experience. I am Dave Bomano, Dave Gonzo Bomano, here with a brand new, fresh episode with a longtime friend of mine. His name is Josh Frey. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Josh, I'm really excited to have you because you are, you're just to roll your sleeves up like I'm going to make it, good old fashioned entrepreneur. And that's who I love to have on the show. You're one of us. I like to say, I think some people I have on the show, like I had Grant Cardone. I think a lot of people are like, I don't know if I could be Grant Cardone, you know? But we can all be Josh, right?
I mean, look, the truth of the matter is Grant Cardone only wishes he had the following I've got.
That is so true. That is so true. Because the reason I said it is because people like, they want to be like you, you know, so that's the true story, right?
All three of them.
Such a nice guy. So Josh and I, just so y'all know, we met, in 2007, right? 2007. Yeah. And I've had some people on the show from this program. It was called the EMP, the Entrepreneurial Masters Program. It was a program. It still is a program of the Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. It used to be called Birthing of Giants, and then they changed it for various reasons to EMP. And it's a 3-year program, 5-6 days a year. We would go and they would say, drinking from the fire hose of knowledge, right? And great speakers like Cameron Herold, et cetera. And we bonded, we learned so much. And here we are 13, 14 years later, we're still talking, right? So in fact, we were planning a live reunion for our class in 2020. And then of course that little pandemic happened. So that's on hold for now, but I hope we can do that someday. So
me too.
I recently had Kendra Scott on the show, who is another superstar from our class. And she's done okay.
Right for himself, right?
She's done okay. It's just got her company valued at $1 billion and sold a large piece of it. So yeah, she's doing all right. Yeah. So
maybe she'll host the reunion.
She wants to. Yeah, she wants us to come down to Austin and like have it at her house. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So
I'm in.
But Josh, I want to tell you, I want to give kind of who you are and what you're doing and why you're such a great. Just good old fashioned entrepreneur. He started, companies from scratch in a business that, some could say is somewhat of a commodity, the tchotchke business, the swag business, right? You go to any conference and there's, 5 or 10 booths that are selling swag. But you really found a niche and made it special and made it different and elevated the industry through not only through your own business, but coaching others. Right. And starting webinars and then a podcast. And you've really done a great job at carving out, a beautiful place, for yourself, helping others in an industry that's very, very crowded. Right. Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about, who you are, how you got into the business and just the journey to where you are today.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, Dave. And, for me, I think that like a lot of your listeners and yourself included, we're, entrepreneurs to the core. We, for me, I just know how to roll my sleeves up and get after it. I'm not formally trained anything. And I've just learned through hard knocks experience and just doing what it takes. And so that journey started off in college. I started up I converted an old postal truck with my brother, and we had an ice cream business. And it was my first kind of entrepreneurial spark. Wow, it was cool. The idea of I could have my own schedules. I could, work when I wanted. I was selling ice cream. It was fun. I could keep the kids extra change and not tell them, and do all these wonderful things as an entrepreneur to make money. Just kidding.
Sure, wink, wink.
Wink, wink. But what I didn't, of course, and so that's kind of where I started. But I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin, which is beautiful during the summer. And that's when we actually started the ice cream business. But the seasonal cycle for selling ice cream is pretty short in Wisconsin. And I don't think that we really counted on that when we started the business. So really we were kind of in business for maybe 2.5 months. And the rest of the time we had to shut the ice cream truck down because who wants to eat ice cream in,
Negative
50
20.
degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually my freshman year of college, it was with wind chill, it was negative 80 degrees, which
Oh
was
my God.
amazing. I'd never been that cold. But anyway,
Wow.
so an ice cream business was kind of where I got my entrepreneurial spark. And then my senior year of college, um, after working a variety of different jobs on campus, I thought it would be cool to start my own business. And so I started a company called Granny's Goodies, named in honor of my grandmother. And we would do care packages for college kids, and essentially would get the parents to buy exam survival kits or welcome to school kits for typically the freshmen. At Wisconsin, it was a very liberal school, so you could easily get access to all the parent home addresses. We'd send out a mailing campaign and get people to buy these care packages, and then would have all the pledges in the fraternity that make them and deliver them. So low cost of labor and all that stuff. And senior year of college, I had a great time. I had my own business, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I think I could do this after college and do this idea across all the universities in the United States. I'll have a, you know, multi-million dollar business in my early 20s. I'll be, just a kingpin, just doing what I'm doing, and life is great. So when I graduated, I didn't find a job. I basically took this business plan and expanded it across to different university. That was the plan. Borrowed some money from a family member, was able to get a loan from the bank with the money that was backing it. And I put together a whole mailing campaign to solicit, I think at the time it was like 50,000 parents of incoming college freshmen. And I spent all the money I had raised, and I got a 0.5% return. So essentially I should have been out of business within the first week I started the business. And but I was hard-headed and like, I got to figure out ways to make money without actually spending any money, which was a great lesson learned, especially for an entrepreneur who had no business experience, no sales experience, no network, and now no money. And that's kind of really where my true entrepreneurial journey began, because I had to figure out how to scratch and claw and get up to an even playing field to make sales and grow a business. And that's where it all started.
So, I mean, so what were some of the things you did to keep yourself going when you had the 0.5% rate of return there? I mean, because it would have been easy. I'm sure you could have got a job if you tried, right? But you're just like, no, I'm going to continue this. What, like, what did you do and what inspired you to keep on going?
Well, it inspires me to this day, which is a fear of failure. And I was determined to make something out of nothing and be a success. Truth be told, if I had to do it over, I mean, of course, the lessons that I've learned along the way have been invaluable. That being said, I probably should have gotten a job, but I didn't. And so I had to find creative ways to sell without spending any marketing dollars. And so because we were working with or targeting college students, what we did is we turned it into a fundraising business. So we'd go to student groups like a residence hall association or fraternities and sororities, student government. We're trying to raise money and say, hey, look, we'll wholesale these care packages to you. You will actually write the marketing, and you send this letter from your organization to the parents and say it's a fundraiser. And that's when we started to kind of build the business. So we partnered with entities that basically had the relationship, and we became the supplier, which is a lesson that I've learned in terms of just business to business sales and finding champions and these types of things. And that's what transformed our business. So we started to go from directly soliciting parents, kind of business to consumer, and almost started to work, business to business by working with organizations that would then resell the product. And we were able to get the business up to about 50 colleges and universities. We got the business up and over $1 million. We moved the business from my parents' basement into a real, actually, big boy and big girl business facility. We had our own office and warehouse space, and and staff and so forth. And so that was a game changer.
So, it's funny. So what years did you go to college?
So I graduated, I went 89 to 93, graduated in
Okay.
93.
Yeah. I went a little bit before you, 87 to 91. And then there's another guy in DC where you are, Devin Shane. Do you know Devin by chance?
I know Devin well. Sure.
Yeah. So, so I started a business out of college that was supported by colleges, right? I had a magazine for high school students, free to the students. The way we made money as colleges advertised. Devin Shane, who's been on my podcast, by the way, everybody, look back about maybe 20 episodes, phenomenal entrepreneur.
Phenomenal.
He had another business supported by colleges, right? Got the mailing list like you, which I don't think they can do anymore, but
yeah.
I think he was selling bedding. Wasn't he selling like bedding to parents and all that stuff for their kids to go to college and all that, right? So,
and carpets, I think.
Carpets. That's what it was. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And that's when colleges had, those were the go-go days for colleges, right? A lot of money, and here's our list. If we can make some money off it too, here it is, right? And it's a different world now. Colleges are certainly not what they were 20 years ago, right? So,
right. But his model was actually, it's funny you mentioned him. Like, I reached out to him when we first started the business because I didn't know anything about the industry, especially beyond just the University of Wisconsin, where I went to school.
Go Badgers.
Go Badgers. And tried to, yeah.
I know.
And, just to try to, lean on mentors, try to find people who had more experience than I did, right? As someone who's out there listening, who's considering starting their own business, if you can latch on to a mentor, people who have experience, who have kind of been through that learning curve to help you shorten your own learning curve or just make less mistakes, and he was a guy that definitely was available, and he's always been available to me in the DC entrepreneurial community. So it's interesting you mentioned him. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Terrific guy. So, so now that you're, at the wise age of 50, I noticed you just had your 50th birthday, and that, you've been there and done that, let's say you met somebody who is fresh out of college, starting a business. What are some of the things you're going to do to share, to, give them advice and help them out?
That's a great question. And I really should have thought about that before we sat down today, right? Because there are so many things. I think a couple of things, and I'll just maybe more from the lessons that I've learned. One is, I thought that it would be cool to start a business because I was motivated by the freedoms of entrepreneurship, the ability to be my own boss, and the glory of money and being wealthy and the upside. But I really didn't consider my passions, my, what motivates me beyond the money, so that I could enjoy the journey. And I think that it's taken me a long time. I'm finally at that point at the ripe young age of 50, where I've been able to reinvent myself and my business in a way that speaks to me. It's why I'm doing the coaching business. It's kind of taking the parts of the business that I love and not doing the parts that I don't, and really spending my time on week in, week out with that piece of it has just helped me enjoy the journey. And so, of course, there's an end game, or, whether you want to make money, sell your business, whatever those different factors are. But I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, at least for myself, I did not always enjoy the journey and the lessons learned in the process. And so if I could have focused on something or had an appreciation for the journey a little bit more, I think I would have. That's what I would impart to someone who's starting off. So pursue something that you're passionate about, that ties in with your, life's goals or purpose or what have you.
Turn passion into profits.
Passion into profits.
Yeah.
If you can.
Unless
you've got some weird passions that maybe is not something you really want to turn into a business, but we don't talk about that.
Look at a whole different passion, right?
Right. I think the other thing is, you've to latch on to a mentor, as I was saying, or some sort of advisor that can help guide you. When I started off in business, I remember I didn't have a lot of business confidence, and we certainly didn't have a lot of business experience or success early on. And so one of the things that we tried to do was we put together an advisory board, which was incredibly helpful. We were able to find a pretty heavy-hitting advisory board of Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year recipients, some people from local, from George Washington University, and some local, universities, and just some really successful entrepreneurs in the area. And when we sat down, although we were younger at the time and it was more of a mentoring sort of relationship as opposed to a traditional board of advisors or board of directors, they would give us homework assignments, me and my brother, when we were in business at the time. And the assignment was, okay, well, you guys have this care package business. What are the different markets you could sell to? Go back, and next meeting you tell us the markets you can sell to. So my brother and I go back, we're like, oh my gosh, we could sell to the real estate market. We could sell to the health insurance market. We could sell to colleges and universities, and list goes on, automobile dealerships. We came up with, I think, like 25 or 30 different markets we could sell to and crush it in our mind. Go back to the table. Okay, so what'd you guys come up with? We told them all this list, and they're like, okay, now they pointed at my brother, you pick one market, and they pointed at me, you pick the other market. You focus on two markets only. And that was a great lesson learned, really kind of dialing into a vertical. We call it on the coaching side of the business, targeting your $1 million niche, and really understanding the market, being an expert in an industry so you can kind of speak the language of the buyer, has been a huge game changer in my career, especially on the B2B sales.
It's a great mentors, because especially in the beginning, entrepreneurs want to be everything to everybody. You become nothing to nobody. And I'm surprised they let you do two, right? Because sometimes they just say choose one, right?
Well, there were two of us. That's the only reason. Yep.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, what's his first name? Keller from Keller Williams real estate firm. He has the book called The One Thing, right? And it's just choose one. Just choose one. And it's what is your superpower? What are you really good at? How can you super hyper focus on that? So good for listening to your, not only getting mentors and advisors, but actually listening to them.
Yeah. And I think it's also important look, as the other thing, I'll go back to your question about what I would impart would be, we're sales guys and gals. Like, if you own a business, you're in sales, whether you think you are or not. Whether you think you're going to hire someone or not, it doesn't matter. You are going to be the best you advocate salesperson for your entity that you start up. So you got to put on your sales gear and do it. And, for me, I brought my brother into the business early on because I thought he would be the sales guy. I would be the operator. And we were, like I said before, we're both the sales guys. And the thing about what I've learned with sales, and specifically B2B sales, is that if you can hyper focus on a vertical, sometimes entrepreneurs are afraid, I put all my eggs in one basket. What if that vertical doesn't work out? Right? But the upside has been so much greater than the downside. Of course, if you pick wrong, or you have a market you're serving during a pandemic, and let's say you're servicing like restaurants, and now you need to quickly pivot. Of course, I understand that, but I've found that being able to hyper focus and dial in on a specific target market or vertical pays significantly more dividends than trying to be a jack of all trade, master of none.
Yep, I agree 100%. So your business, the gift, the gift bag, what'd you call it?
Yeah, we called it was a care package business, and it actually kind of morphed into a full scale corporate gift company, which is kind of where we learned the promo side of the business, the swag.
And where does swag come from? Does this stand for something? I forget.
I forget the acronym now. There are several of them, and I should know, considering it's part of the business name. But it's basically slang for promotional products, advertising specialties, tchotchkes, logoed merchandise.
And I learned tchotchkes is a Jewish word for all these little things, right? Is that right?
It's Yiddish.
Yiddish. There we go. Yeah.
That's right. That's
tchotchkes.
right.
lot of us speak Yiddish. We don't even know it, right? So
That's right. That's right.
but now we call it swag. And that, so tell us, like, so you became a really a successful business in the tchotchke in the swag business. And for those of you that are wondering, what that is, if you don't know those acronyms, anything branded, right? Like I'm just happen to be drinking a coffee mug right now that says edibles. And that's edibles, edible arrangements swag, right? It could be pens, could be T-shirts, coffee mugs, flags. I mean, they put your logo on anything these days, right? And so, and it helps you promote your company and make an image and make, help your brand and all that stuff and make people feel special. And I think we all have that one T-shirt that we got at a trade show that fits so well, and we love it. And that company is getting a lot of advertising 10 years later, right? And
That's right.
That's right. But then, so you did really well with that. But to my, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like, there's a lot of people in that industry, but you brought it to a new level where you're coaching, you're helping, you're guiding people in that industry, to just succeed and be a little bit different, better than everybody else, right?
That's right. Yeah. And so, the industry I think it's a $25 billion plus industry at this point. There are pretty much no barriers to entry. So anyone can start a business tomorrow. We all pull from similar or same supply chains. So we use a lot of the same factories. So how do you really separate yourself from the competition? And, you scratch and you claw if you're an entrepreneur, and maybe you've got a strategy like we're talking about, targeting a vertical, and eventually you build up your business, you service the customer, and over time you can, have a great lifestyle business, and then some if you build a sales force and so on. But what I've learned is that unfortunately our industry is very every man and woman for themselves. A lot of fear of losing accounts to other people, and fear of competition, fear of losing your business because you make a bad decision or what have you. And so I thought that there was an opportunity to make the industry better. We're not, a lot of us, myself included, I'm not formally trained in terms of like Sandler sales training or any of that type of stuff. I've just, built a toolbox of best sales practices over the course of my career that have worked for me. And I thought maybe I could help people that are struggling in the industry, as well as introduce the industry to people who have known nothing about it from outside, and kind of train them and coach them and help them open doors and close deals. And so I morphed from just doing day-to-day sales and building my own book of business to being like a player coach. So I've got my own book. I'm a frontline coach. And then I've got a network of competitors, essentially, people that are in the space, that we have built a community together. It's called the Swag Coach Program. And we peer-to-peer learning, just like EO. We're sharing best practices, helping each other navigate through the peaks and valleys of sales and kind of trying to scale a business and learn from each other. And then teaching best sales practices through workshops and what have you to kind of elevate the industry. A lot of times people think of our industry as one step above used car sales. Not that used car sales is a bad industry, just to say like the reputation. You talk about tchotchkes, another term that people use when they go to trade shows is trinkets and trash. Oh, maybe you've heard this.
I've heard of trinkets, but not trash. So yeah.
Yeah. And people are literally, if you go to a big trade show out in Las Vegas, you'll see all the different vendors that are there. They'll have the free tchotchke giveaways, and then you'll have people that will literally just go down and just grab all the stuff, put it in a bag, and then bring it home to their kids or bring it home for themselves, whatever. And that's great if you're just trying to get your name out there, but there's a lot of other ways to be strategic. And the thing that's cool about our industry is it's so much more than just that. Our products are actually used in supply chain needs. And if you can be strategic with your sales and get into the customer supply chain, you can build a heck of a business. And during COVID, our industry supply chain pivoted to PPE. So we were fortunate in that we were able to leverage existing relationships on the, clients of ours, in whether in government or nonprofits or just corporate America, that needed PPE for, for their communities or their employees and what have you. So there's a lot of opportunity in our industry to sell higher level products and services beyond just the tchotchkes, if you will, and really be a value add marketing and supply partner to businesses that need these types of products with their branding.
Yeah, now a lot of people, a lot of companies have the face masks with their logo on it, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
is that what you
right.
mean by you were able to pivot and sell that stuff? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Face mask was a big thing. Sanitizer,
Oh yeah.
huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of PP.
What about other?
Especially
Have you had any other, as we call them, crash and learn moments? Did the Great Recession give you a kick in the butt? Were there any other times when you were like, "Oh my God, what the hell am I going to do?"
About once a year,
Like yesterday,
like right now. Yeah, I had a really interesting experience towards the tail end of when we were in EMP together. That was the 2007, 8, 9, right?
Yep.
That was when the recession hit. That was a painful time. And especially for our industry, I mean, because if you're not in the supply chain and you are selling, marketing products to buyers, marketing budgets were the first to get slashed during the recession. So our stuff got, our industry got crushed. I think we lost a third of our sales or something like that. And I was taking all my lessons learned from EMP and was focused on trying to build my infrastructure of my business at the time and build a sales force. And so I had a 12-person sales force. We had, the overhead related to commissions and base salary and benefits, sales contests, lots of office space, all this stuff. And when the recession hit, I could just see the wave coming at me. We went from, I think in 2007, the busiest month we ever had. Was that when it hit, or 8? I can't remember. And
yeah, it started hit like I think early to mid 2008 was when really the shit hit the fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you probably saw it coming. I mean, there was signs that it was coming, so.
Yeah. I saw it coming, and I saw that our infrastructure costs were so screwed up that it would, I kind of, not the brightest when it comes to the numbers, that I could project out and be like, I'm going to be out of business in give it 4 months if I don't make a drastic change right now.
Yeah.
And so I did. And what I did was I brought in the entire sales force, and it was the most humbling entrepreneurial experience I had ever had at that point in my career. And I fired every single person on the spot. And I said, the economy, the recession, our industry, I can't afford to keep you under the current circumstances. However, I'm telling you that you are better trained than the majority of the competition out there, because I trained them.
Of course.
And training is optional in our industry. And you've got accounts that I've given you that you can work, and I'll spin you off and you can be your own boss, and I'll coach you and I'll help you open doors and close deals, but you sink or swim on your own. And I think of the 12 people, maybe 6 or 7 of them at the time said, I'll do it. The rest of them said, thank you, but no, thank you. Understandable. Not everybody's an entrepreneur. And in 2009, I made more money than I had ever made in my entire career.
Wow.
When in an industry that had lost about a third of its volume. And I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
I like this model.
Yeah. Solo.
Yeah.
Contractors. Yeah.
So, and it's empowering. I like helping other people. But I don't like babysitting. I believe in empowering people and sharing best practices, but I'm not going to do the work for them. So it was a good balance for me. There's something liberating to be able to say to someone, I'm going to give you the resources, I'm going to give you the coaching, but at the end of the day, it's your business. So you're going to either sink or swim on your own.
Yeah.
And that's very different than having an employee holding them accountable to quotas and policies and all this stuff. And I realized, the coaching model, the way I was set it up to do it, is one I could do for a long time and really enjoy the journey. And that's been the case ever since.
Yeah. Are you still kind of a solo entrepreneur, and everyone you coach and people still sell your products, and that's how you do it these days still?
Yep. I have no employees.
Love it.
Actually, we have a virtual assistant out of the Philippines.
Yeah. Footloose and fancy free. I love it.
It's amazing.
Virtual assistants are the best. I've got one as well. Go Monica out of Miami, and she's fantastic. And I encourage all entrepreneurs, especially solo entrepreneurs, to get a virtual assistant just to take care of all that stuff that we suck at. Right. I mean, we're good usually at one thing, like we're talking about. And a lot of times it's sales. When it comes to all the details, not our strongest suit, right?
Right. And like for me, Dave, and I don't know if you've experienced this over your entrepreneurial career, but I used to think it was a badge of honor based on the number of employees I had in my business that worked for me and how big my office space was. And it's all bullshit as far as I'm concerned. I mean, obviously you've got a big business and you need people, of course. But, for me, I'm all about outsourcing and leveraging best-in-class partners to do the work that way better than I could ever do it. So I could focus on the stuff I like to do and my unique abilities. Yeah.
And it allows you to be footloose and fancy free. You could work wherever you want. Right. So, there's a lot of advantage to a lot less headaches, especially, if you don't enjoy management and, as you say, babysitting. Some people are good at that, right? Thank God. I'm not. Sounds like you're not, but we're good at other things. So good for you for finding that along your journey.
Yeah. And I would say this, even though you didn't ask me, but because it was an important lesson that I learned. Just because I'm one of those entrepreneurs, I'm fairly detail oriented, and I've got the creative a bit. So or maybe I can sell and I'm detail oriented. I don't remember I've got some sort of a hybrid thing going. Okay.
And you're very good looking. So you've got like, a tribrid. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
That's so sweet of you.
Gonzo experience. We always make people feel a little bit better towards the end of the show.
That's good. But what I was going to say is that I was actually pretty good at operations. Not a great manager, but pretty good at operations.
Yeah.
I just hated it.
Yeah.
So I would say, it's not just what you're good at. It's taking it that step further and what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you position yourself that way, and you have a really good shot at being successful in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Love it. Great way to segue into the closing of this segment, because speaking of entrepreneurs, a lot of ADHD going on. So we try to keep each show around 30 minutes. Might have gone a little bit over because you're so super fantastic. But so Josh Frey, folks, great guest, great business owner, father, husband, human, really just a great all around guy. And as I mentioned, very handsome, but ladies, he is taken. So
sweet.
Just eye candy at this point. But and Josh, if you want to look him up, it's Josh, of course, and then Frey. And tell us other ways to get a hold of you, website, and any, I know you have a podcast. Tell us, how we can learn more about you.
Yep. So the business the easiest way to find us is theswagcoach.com. You can see all my information there. If you want to email me directly, I'm available, josh@swagcoach.com, and happy to help pay it forward and be a resource to any entrepreneur or any future entrepreneur out there. I'm a big proponent of just helping other entrepreneurs and giving back to that community. We do have a podcast. If you just look up the Swag Coach, it's available on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we have a coaching program for those of you that are in the tchotchke business or want to get into the tchotchke business, Swag Biz. It's called Small Group Coaching. And we kind of have taken a hybrid model of what we've learned actually in EO with accountability groups and forum. And so we've created an awesome community for people that want to really scale their promo businesses. And we do it with our small group coaching program, also available at theswagcoach.com.
Excellent. Well, Josh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Honored that you shared some heartbeats with us today, and great lessons. And thanks for being vulnerable and sharing your whole journey with us.
I appreciate you taking the time and listening to my stories. I didn't know that there would be any value, but hopefully there's a 1 or 2 nuggets that someone can pull.
No, of course there was a ton. So I really appreciate it. And if anybody wants a personal introduction to Josh, throw me an email, david@davidmamano.com, and I'll give you a personal intro. Josh, I wish you continued massive success. And I also want to thank all the listeners, the Gonzo family, for listening today. Truly appreciate your time and heartbeats today. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there. I'm very honored that you're spending some time with us today. If you ever want to learn more about what we're doing, davidmamano.com. Have a great day, everybody. Make sure to stay awesome.